The story introduces Asura, a schoolboy with a motto. As he walks down the street, the wooden charm on his bag, signifying his goal of doing one good deed a day, clinks against his side. Asura observes the world around him, noticing minor transgressions. A man nearly gets hit by a car after ignoring a red light, and another man carelessly tosses his cigarette onto the street. His attention is then caught by a news report on a public screen. It details an ATM robbery where the suspect is still at large. Asura smiles, confident that the robber will face divine punishment for his crime. Immediately after, he spots an elderly woman struggling with a large bag, and cheerfully offers to help her. The scene shifts to Isomo Municipal Kokahana Junior High School, establishing the setting of Asura's daily life. The atmosphere changes drastically as Asura is suddenly punched hard in the stomach by a bully, his eyes going white from the shock and pain. The bullies gather around him, taunting him. The one who threw the punch, a boy with spiky blonde hair, celebrates as Asura slumps to the ground in pain. To the bullies' confusion and annoyance, Asura looks up from the ground, not with tears, but with a wide, unnerving grin on his face. Another bully points out that the lead tormentor, Semitani, is up next. The scene cuts to Semitani sadistically snapping the wings off a butterfly with a blank expression. A close-up reveals Semitani's eye twitching as he mutilates the small creature. A disturbing look on his face. The other bullies try to get Asura to stand up. In the background, Semitani gets up. A strange dazed look on his face as he clenches his fist. The panel contrasts a close-up of Asura's unsettling, smiling face with Semitani's wide-eyed, shocked expression, as if he's seeing something terrifying. With immense force, Semitani punches Asura, sending him flying through the air. The other bullies watch in shock at the sheer power of the blow. Semitani stares in disbelief at his own hand while Asura lies on the ground. The creepy smile finally wiped from his face as he looks like he's about to pass out. The bullies walk away, laughing and telling Asura they'll beat him again tomorrow. Left alone, Asura pounces on the ground, saliva dripping from his mouth. Lying on the ground, Asura's pained gasps turn into quiet laughter. He then cheerfully gets up and announces, "I'm home," to no one and heads towards his house. Asura arrives home and calls out to his mom. An elderly woman, his grandmother, replies from the kitchen, welcoming him back and telling him dinner is almost ready. Asura stands before a memorial altar for his deceased mother. He claps his hands and happily tells her that he did some good deeds today. A flashback reveals the source of his conviction. His mother teaching him as a young child that if you do good, you'll be rewarded. And if you do bad, you'll be punished by the heavens. Back in the present, Asura continues his one-sided conversation with his mother's photo, proudly recounting how he helped an old woman and delivered a lost wallet to the police, making everyone grateful. Asura then tends to his Shiba Inu, Padre. He feeds the happy dog, who scratches excitedly at the glass door before digging into his meal. This small kind act is part of his daily routine. While petting Padre, Asura's thoughts drift back to Sidani and his gang. He chuckles to himself, musing that the heavens will surely punish them harshly. It was a cycle he had seen before, and he almost felt bad for what was to come. The story flashes back to 1 month prior at the Isakoshi City Duk Middle School entrance ceremony. Asura recalls how he had previously warned his bullies. In the classroom, they targeted another student, mockingly calling him Onion Head and laughing that they were in the same class again. Semitani and his gang surround the timid student, Onion Head. They tell him to stop protecting his stomach and gleefully declare that he can be their punching bag for the year. Semitani brutally punches Onion Head in the stomach, making a sickening sound that the other bullies laugh at. Elsewhere in the classroom, 2 other students turn their heads, having noticed the commotion. The 2 onlookers whisper amongst themselves, revealing that Onion Head is being targeted because he snitched on the bullies. One of them wants to report the assault, but his friend grabs him, telling him to shut up. The friend explains that they have to stay away, whispering a rumor that the bullies have scary older kids backing them up and that they'll be targeted next if they're caught ratting them out. As Asura watches, another one of the bullies steps up, declaring it's his turn. A close-up shows Onion Head's face, bruised and tear-streaked from the abuse. Just as the bullying continues, Asura walks towards the group with a calm smile, raising his hand and telling them that they should stop being mean. The other students in the class are left speechless, shocked and terrified that someone would actually stand up to the bullies. Asura continues with a cheerful lecture, explaining that those who commit evil deeds will receive divine punishment, so they should do good deeds instead for a win-win situation. The bullies are completely baffled by his sermon. They turn their attention to Asura, angrily asking what his problem is, and if he's trying to pick a fight with them. Sitani looms over Asura, holding something menacingly in his closed fist, ready to make him pay for his interference. Semitani tells Asura to open wide and reveals the mangled dead body of a small lizard or N in the palm of his hand. He cruelly shoves the dead creature into Asura's face. As Asura recoils in disgust, the other bullies erupt in laughter, cheering for Semitani. Sitani grabs Asura by the hair and covers his mouth, trying to force him to swallow the creature. Yet through it all, Asura maintains a calm, almost smiling expression. Returning to the present, Asura recounts his past torment to his dog, Padre. He mentions other incidents like a dead chicken being put in his desk, but strangely concludes that it was only awful for the chicken. He chuckles, wondering what punishment the heavens have in store for the bullies, deciding it's not his problem. Just then, his grandmother calls out that dinner is ready, and Asura tells Padre he's going to eat. The camera reveals the dinner his grandmother has prepared. A large bristly scrubbing brush served on a plate with gravy, potatoes, and broccoli. His grandmother proudly presents the dish as his favorite stewed Hamburg steak. As Asura points out that it's a scrubbing brush, she simply takes a bite, urging him to eat while it's warm. Asura panics, yelling for her to stop eating the dangerous object. This angers his grandmother, who becomes distressed and accuses him of trying to starve her. In her confusion, she starts crying, calling Asura Gramps and lamenting how he used to be so kind. With his stomach rumbling and no dinner to eat, Asura decides he has to go out and buy food. While walking down a deserted street, Asura finds that a local udon shop has rice balls for half off. He chuckles, believing the stroke of luck must be a reward for his good deeds. As he walks on, he stumbles upon something strange in a dark alleyway. A mysterious torchlit stall has appeared and he is taken back by the sight. The stall is run by a strange gnomish old man with a long white beard smoking a pipe and surrounded by melting candles. The atmosphere is eerie and unsettling. Asura reads the sign on the mysterious stall. The old Hell's Gate completely startled by the strange and sudden appearance of the shop. The mysterious old man at the stall notices Asura's gaze. Asura is shocked when the man acknowledges him, realizing with a start that this bizarre encounter is actually happening. The mysterious old man laughs, delighted. He exclaims that he hasn't had a customer in ages and is surprised that Asura can even see his shop, remarking that changing locations must have worked. The old man leans in, stating that Asura wouldn't be able to see the shop unless he was living a hellish life. He correctly guesses that the boy has been having a rough time, leaving Asura speechless. With a wicked grin, the old man reveals he has something special just for Asura. He presents an old ornate key, explaining that it's no ordinary key. The old man gestures towards his stall, saying that if Asura is able to see his shop, then he must have someone in his life that he wishes he could send to hell. His face turns demonic as he explains the key's purpose. It opens a gate to hell, allowing the user to drop someone into its fiery depths while they are still alive. He cheerfully explains that the key is super easy to use. All one has to do is poke the key into the head of the person they wish to condemn, then give it a nice simple twist. Asura is skeptical, questioning if the man is serious. He then puts on a polite smile and explains that due to his family's circumstances, he has no money and can't afford such an item. The old man laughs, asking who said anything about money. He reveals that the key is completely free and that he doesn't require any payment at all. He grins widely, looking straight at Asura, and reiterates that there isn't a single thing he needs from the boy in return. He holds out the key, telling Asura to take it. Whether he uses it or not is his decision, and he can always return it if he doesn't want it. Despite the offer, Asura politely refuses. Asura explains his reasoning. Even if the man is telling the truth, he can't just send people to hell of his own accord. To him, that would be considered an evil deed. He continues, reaffirming his mother's teaching. He doesn't mind doing good deeds, but doing bad ones is out of the question because people who do bad things will be punished by the heavens. As Asura turns to leave, the old man casually drops a bombshell, revealing that the culprit behind Asura's mother's murder has yet to be caught. Asura freezes, turning back in shock. The old man simply smiles, saying he knows through a bit of fortune-telling. Regaining his composure, Asura admits the man is right that the culprit hasn't been caught, but rationalizes that the heavens just haven't decided on a proper punishment yet. And justice will be served in due time. He declares with conviction that this applies to everyone, not just his mom's murderer. He stares at the sky, asserting that one day every felon will receive rightful retribution because no evil goes unpunished. With his faith outwardly restored, Asura looks back at the old man and declares that this is why he doesn't need his key. The heavens will eventually punish all who do evil. The old man's smile becomes knowing and pitying. He tells Asura that it appears he's simply telling himself that and asks if it isn't true that he forces himself to smile to keep from falling into despair. Asura, flustered, announces that he's getting hungry and will be taking his leave. He turns and walks away, leaving the old man watching him with a thoughtful expression. Meanwhile, Semitani and his cronies are seen squatting in the woods. His friends are snapping photos as they discuss something that was said to them. Semitan's lip twitches. He looks down at his hand and mutters that tormenting bugs isn't enough to satisfy him anymore, implying a desire for greater cruelty. Unaware of the bully's escalating cruelty, Asura walks home. He thinks to himself that he's glad they went light on him today as all they did was tie him to a tree and throw things at him during lunch break. A young boy with short black hair, Asura, arrives home from school. Believing that good deeds are always rewarded, he feels content. He walks through the yard but notices something is off near the doghouse labeled Padre. He calls out for his dog, Padre, but gets no answer. A sense of dread washes over Asura as he spots Padre's leash lying abandoned on the ground. He looks around in shock, wondering where his dog could have gone. His worst fears begin to materialize as he discovers splatters of blood on the ground. Horrified, he starts to follow the grim trail. The trail of blood leads him away from his house and into a nearby forest. He nervously pushes his way through the bushes, his heart pounding. Deeper in the woods, Asura peeks from behind a tree and sees a group of 3 boys. One of them is squatting over something on the ground. Asura's eyes widen in absolute horror. The object on the ground is his beloved dog, Padre, lying motionless in a pool of blood. The boys turn around, having heard a sound. It's a group of school bullies. One of them, a boy with spiky blonde hair, seems annoyed that they've been found, complaining that they should have gone further into the woods. Asura stumbles forward completely in shock. He can barely stammer out his dog's name. His mind unable to process the horrific scene before him. The trauma triggers a flash of another memory of death. And the weight of it all is too much. Asura collapses to his knees, gasping in horror and grief, tears welling up in his eyes. The bullies watch him completely unfazed. The blonde bully asks their leader, Semitani, what they should do now that Asura has found them. The third bully cruelly mocks Asura's pained expression while Semitani tells them to shut up. Semitani ignores the question and simply tells Asura not to bother him. He has a disturbed blissful expression as if he's getting a thrill from Asura's suffering. His friends notice with one commenting that he's too busy getting off on this. Asura's mind flashes back to a happier time. He remembers his mother, a kind-faced woman with short black hair holding a small Shiba Inu puppy. She introduces the dog Padre to a younger shy Asura. The flashback continues, shifting to a more somber memory. A young Asura and his grandmother are in mourning before a funeral portrait of his mother. His grandmother, tears in her eyes, tells him they need to stay strong as a family. To comfort him, Padre licks the tears from his hand. The flashback ends on a touching note with young Asura hugging Padre tightly, finding comfort in his pet while the dog looks up happily. This memory of love and companionship makes the present reality even more painful. Snapping back to the present, Asura is on his knees overwhelmed with grief and rage. He cries out asking the bullies why they would do something so horrible to his beloved Padre. Semitani however continues to watch with a sickening smile. Clearly enjoying the profound pain he has inflicted. Asura can only stay hunched over choked with sobs. Suddenly something in Asura snaps. His sobbing turns into a wild maniacal laughter. Tears still streaming from his eyes. His face is a mask of pure unhinged grief. Asura gets to his feet, laughing hysterically. He points at the bewildered bullies and declares that they will all feel the wrath of the heavens for their sinful actions. The bullies just stare, thinking he's completely lost his mind. In his frenzied state, Asura imagines divine retribution striking the bullies down. He pictures a fissure opening up in the earth to swallow them or a bolt of lightning striking them from the sky. He looks to the heavens, his hands clasped in a desperate prayer. He begs for divine judgment to fall upon them, for them to be punished right now. Asura stands alone in the forest, looking up at the sky, his small frame filled with a desperate, burning hope for justice. But nothing happens. The clouds drift by peacefully. Asura's crazed smile falters, his eyes wide with disbelief and dawning despair as he realizes his prayers are not being answered. His mother's words that evil people will be punished by the heavens echo in his mind. Clinging to this last shred of hope, he desperately pleads one last time for the heavens to act now. But as Asura screams for punishment, his plea is met not with divine thunder, but with brutal reality. Semitani grabs him by the hair and viciously slams his face into the ground. With Asura's face pushed into the dirt, Semitani taunts him to eat up. Pinned to the ground, Asura's faith shatters as he questions why the heavens would ignore such a deplorable act. Asura's mind races, terrified that if these bullies continue living, they will bring about an irreversible tragedy. Just like the one that took his mother, whose murder he relives in a traumatic flash, tears streaming down his face, Asura screams at the sky, asking why it answers evil with silence. As Semitani grinds his face into the dirt near his dog's body, Asura's hand touches something hard and metallic. A key. He recognizes it instantly. It's the strange ornate key that the mysterious old man gave to him. Lying on the ground in despair, Asura realizes the key is in his pocket. The memory of the mysterious old man with a sinister smile surfaces in his mind. The old man's words echo in his memory. This key opens a gate to hell, letting you drop that certain someone to its fiery depths while still alive. It's super easy to use. In a sudden, decisive movement born from utter despair, Asura gets up and stabs the key directly into Semitani's forehead. As Semitani stares in confused shock, Asura twists the key with a click. A chillingly blank expression has replaced his tears as he follows the old man's instructions. Behind Semitani, a monstrous gate constructed from bone and vertebrae erupts from the ground, blocking the path. The massive bone doors begin to crack open, revealing a pitch-black void within. Semitani can only stare, his expression shifting from confusion to terror. A gigantic vein hand snakes out from the gate and seizes Semitani, lifting him effortlessly off his feet. Semitani struggles helplessly, his eyes wide with horror as he is held in the monster's unyielding grasp. From the darkness of the gate, a horrifying demon with multiple swirling eyes and a jagged grin emerges, ready to claim its victim. The bone gate slams shut with a deafening boom, leaving Semeton's two friends staring in shock at the spot where their leader just vanished. Asura stands before them, the key now glowing faintly in his hand. The other two bullies are paralyzed with fear, unable to comprehend what they just witnessed. Asura turns and walks away from the scene. He looks at the spot where Semitani disappeared and wonders if he just punished someone the heavens had chosen to ignore. He remembers his earlier hesitation, the thought that sending someone to hell of his own accord would be an evil deed. The memory makes him laugh, a sound that is hollow and broken. With tears and saliva drooling from his face, a terrifying smile spreads across Asura's face as he comes to a new conclusion. This is a good deed after all. The scene shifts to a desolate, hellish landscape. The mysterious old man now stands as the overseer of Semeton's eternal punishment. The old man holds up a severed arm covered in spikes, which he then casually drops to the ground where the rest of Semitani's dismembered body lies. The old man stands over the writhing body parts, taunting Semitani as he cries out in agony, begging for the pain to stop. The old man taps his cane and miraculously, Semeton's severed fingers begin to magically reattach themselves to his hand. Semitani's body is made whole again. He gasps, shocked that the pain is gone, only to hear the demon's voice command from the shadows again. From the top, a new tormentor appears before him. A monstrous beast-like creature wielding a large katana, ready to begin the cycle of torture anew. This is Semitani's new reality, an endless loop of death and rebirth. The old man grins as Semitani pleads for mercy. "Brace yourself," he says as the torment begins again. A voice echoes through the fiery hellscape, a chilling reminder of his fate. You still have 1.6653 trillion years left to serve. The next day, Asura walks to school. On the outside, he seems completely normal with the one good deed a day charm still hanging from his backpack. He stops in front of a store, his attention caught by a news report on a small television. It details a violent street mugging that happened that morning, leaving the victim in critical condition. The news anchor reports that the suspect is still at large. Asura listens with a serene, unnerving smile. He thinks to himself that there must be many others suffering from cruelties, people who need a helping hand just like he did. He remembers his mother's cheerful voice telling him that he needs to do good deeds. With a small smile, he thinks to himself, "You were right, Mom." Asura continues on his way, the key to hell now prominently displayed on the front of his school jacket. He looks up at the sky and makes a new vow. If the heavens choose to answer evil with silence, he will be the one who helps those in need. A look of calm resolve settles on his face. He now sees this path not as a choice but as a duty, something he needs to do. He spots an elderly woman struggling with her walker and approaches her with a kind offer of help. From now on, he thinks I'll do even greater good. Having received the power to send people to hell, the righteous boy Asura has now begun his crusade, and he will make sure his own brand of justice is served. In classroom 2:1, a teacher begins his daily routine. Taking note of his students, he notices that 3 students are conspicuously absent. Semitani, Anasto, and Kitaninoa. They haven't even called in sick. Their empty desks sit as a silent testament to the previous day's events. While the teacher seems mildly concerned, the other students are visibly relieved. They whisper among themselves, glad that the class bullies are gone, creating a much nicer atmosphere. Asura, sitting quietly, observes the scene. He decides to simply begin by taking attendance. A calm smile on his face. The school day ends and the bell rings. Asura's friends invite him to go to karaoke, a normal end to a seemingly normal day. As he walks, Asura reflects on the day. Everyone seemed so much happier with the bullies gone. He connects their absence to the monstrous figure from the gate he summoned. In his innocent black and white view of the world, he comes to a simple conclusion. Getting rid of them must have been a good deed. He happily decides he'll tell his mom all about it when he gets home. His cheerful walk is interrupted. He turns startled to find the mysterious old man from the day before suddenly standing right behind him with a wide knowing grin. Asura looks back again, but the street is empty. He shakes his head, convincing himself that he was just imagining things, but the old man's ominous words echo in his mind. This key opens a gate to hell. Asura dismisses him as just a weird old man, but then notices a strange new mark that has appeared on his wrist. He examines his hand more closely. A dark, unfamiliar shape is now etched into his skin. He wonders if it's just a bruise. Asura tries to recall when it could have happened. His mind flashing back to the old man's strange intense sales pitch where he insisted that Asura wouldn't have to pay a thing. The memory of the old man's unsettling wide grin fills his mind. His words echoing that there isn't a single thing he needs from Asura. Brushing it off, Asura figures he probably just bumped his hand somewhere. His thoughts are interrupted when he spots a girl in an alley precariously balanced on some crates. This is Otto. She seems to be in a frantic hurry, muttering to herself as she stretches to reach something just out of her grasp. Asura watches on, shocked, as the unstable platform gives way. Otto loses her balance and comes tumbling down. With a heavy thunk, Asura acts without thinking, throwing himself under her to break her fall. They both end up in a heap on the ground. Otori groans in pain, dazed from the sudden impact of the fall. As she collects herself, she looks down and realizes with horror that she landed on Asura, who is now lying motionless on the ground. Otori frantically apologizes, but Asura, true to his nature, just smiles dazedly, saying he's glad she's all right. She tries to get up, but stops, telling him to wait as she looks at something behind him. She stares at the wall she was trying to reach, exclaiming that the door she saw is now gone. Asura, still on the ground, can only twitch in confusion. He asks her if she saw a door. She gasps, stunned, realizing he might have seen it too, confirming that she thought she almost had it. Suddenly flustered, Otoy apologizes for spouting what she thinks is nonsense. Convinced she must have creeped him out, she quickly tries to excuse herself and run away. But Asura isn't creeped out at all. He's intrigued. He eagerly asks what kind of door it was, revealing that he's also seen a peculiar door recently. Stunned by this revelation, Otori stops in her tracks, realizing she might have finally found someone who understands. Finding courage in his shared experience, Otori nervously explains her door. She shows him a copy of the Chronicles of Narnia, saying the door she saw was one that leads to that magical kingdom. Asura, processing this, connects it to the story. A door in a wardrobe that leads to Nano, a country full of only kind-hearted people. Otori shyly confirms that's exactly right. To Otori's surprise, Asura's face lights up with pure childish excitement. He exclaims that it sounds like a wonderful place and that he'd love to go, too. Encouraged by his genuine reaction, Otori confesses that she loves the book so much she's read it over and over. Then one day, the impossible happened. The door from the book actually appeared before her. She explains that every time she tries to enter, the door vanishes. However, there's a hopeful catch. The door is taking longer to disappear each time she sees it. Asura asks if she happened to meet an eccentric old man, but she says she didn't. Otori's eyes gleam with desperate hope. She feels it so close that the day she finally makes it through is right around the corner. Asura smiles, then asks what kind of door she saw. With a bright, cheerful smile, Asura proudly announces that his door was a gate to hell. The declaration hangs in the air, leaving Otori completely stunned and speechless. Asura admits he doesn't really know what the other side is like, but he's sure it's amazing. Why? Because it's a place that passes judgment on all evil. A place that passes judgment on all evil. The thought resonates with Otori. Her initial shock transforms into excitement, and she agrees with a wide smile that it does sound amazing. Their strange bonding moment is cut short when Otori checks her phone and realizes she has to go. They exchange polite bows, thanking each other for taking the time to talk. Asura watches her run off, a warm feeling spreading through him. He reflects that it's the first time he's ever enjoyed talking to someone. A stark contrast to his usual interactions, which involved being punched by Semitani's gang. He concludes that doing good deeds really does pay off. Meanwhile, Atori runs through the streets with a giddy smile. She can't believe it. Someone actually listened to her talk about the door and didn't think she was crazy. The joy on her face is radiant as she thinks. That was so fun. But the scene cuts abruptly, revealing a horrifying reality. The same face is now battered, bruised, and bleeding, eyes wide with terror. The cheerful memory fades. Atori is in a bathroom, cornered by a group of bullies. Their leader, a girl with light hair holding a cigarette, menacingly asks why Atori left without their permission. Terrified, Atori stammers that the door had appeared, and she ran after it. The lead bully mockingly repeats her excuse, a cruel smirk playing on her lips. The torment escalates. The bully grabs Atori's wrist, sneering that she doesn't get what part of her people think is cute. The others join in, calling her gross and agreeing that the boys who like her must be blind. The lead bully throws Atori to the floor, accusing her of talking nonsense just to act cute. As Ori screams, the others chime in with disgust. The cruelty reaches a new low. While her friends hold Atori down, the leader orders her to strip. Pulling out her phone, she says she'll make sure Atori looks extra cute today. As the camera flashes, Atori begs them to stop, but they only laugh. The leader gloats that now all the boys will see her body. And with a final chilling smile, she prepares to send the photos to the group chat. The scene shifts to a quiet, lonely home. An empty shoe cupboard and a neatly arranged closet set a desolate mood. Humiliated and in pain, Atori arrives home. She immediately rushes to her room, frantically searching her wardrobe and drawers. She desperately searches inside her closet, hoping to find the magical door to Narnia, her only escape. But behind the clothes, there is nothing but a wall. Her bruised face reflects her crushing despair. It's not there. A look at her calendar, with days obsessively crossed off, confirms her fear. There's no door today, either. Her eyes are wide with the horror of her inescapable reality. Later that evening, Atori sits alone at the kitchen table, slurping a meager meal of instant noodles. A passive-aggressive note from her mom sits beside a single coin. A cold reminder to stop leaving the closets and drawers open, highlighting the chilling loneliness of her home life. Tears stream down her face as she eats. Her only comfort being the Narnia book on the table. She clings to one last desperate shred of hope, whispering to herself that the door will be there tomorrow, that she will finally make it to the other side. The next day at school, the atmosphere is heavy. Atori walks through the halls, her face etched with anxiety and fear of what awaits her. Her worst fears are realized. A group of boys spot her, looking at their phones. "Hey, look, it's her," one says. Atori freezes, her body twitching with dread. The boys snicker, looking at the humiliating photos that her bullies sent to the group chat. Atori's private torment has become public mockery, and she's horrified. She dashes away, but she can't escape. Everywhere she looks, she's surrounded by the cold, glowing screens of smartphones, each one a window into her shame. Atori escapes to the momentary refuge of the girls' bathroom. She splashes water on her face, trying to wash away the disgust and panic, but she's visibly shaking. Her mind flashes back to the day's torment. She jolts as she remembers the lead bully's ominous voice, asking if she has time after school. A clear thread of more to come. The memory becomes clearer. It's the bully's brother, a menacing delinquent, who laughs crudely. "What's up? I saw your nudes. My sister told me you'd strip for me, too." This slaps. Her sister boasts that she's the best in the world for sharing the photos, telling Atori to have fun with her brother. Atori can only stare in horror. Her bandaged wrists a silent testament to her suffering. Walking home from school, Otorii is completely broken. She mutters to herself, her mind fixated on one singular, desperate thought. I need to find the door. Her steps are aimless, her eyes hollow. The thought becomes a mantra, a prayer for escape. I just need to make it to the other side. As long as I make it through the door, and then at her absolute breaking point, she sees it. Her eyes widen in disbelief. A magnificent glowing white door materializes out of thin air in the middle of the street. It can't be real. Her mind struggles to comprehend what she's seeing. It's the door from her dreams. Her only hope finally here. But just as quickly as it appeared, it begins to fade. Panic sets in. Wait, she cries, breaking into a desperate sprint towards the phantom door. Fueled by the vision of a perfect world, a land of kind and gentle people, she runs with all her might. If she can just make it through that door, her suffering will end. She screams at the fading image, her voice cracking with desperation. Wait, you have to wait. Please. Blinded by her goal, she carelessly slams into pedestrians, not even pausing to apologize. One of the people she bumps into is Asura, who is startled by the collision. The people she pushed past yell at her, but she doesn't hear them. She keeps running, her eyes locked on the prize. Asura watches her go, a flicker of concern on his face. Her frantic chase leads her to a barrier. The door is just beyond it, inside a demolition site. Without a second thought, she runs towards it. Ignoring the authorized personnel-only signs, she ducks under the warning tape and scrambles over the rubble, still chasing her beautiful delusion. Her plea becomes a desperate scream. Please don't disappear. I don't want to live here anymore. Stay right there. Please, I'm begging you. She stops breathless. It's still there. The beautiful white door glows softly, waiting for her just a few feet away. A smile of pure bliss spreads across her face. The door cracks open, inviting her in. Finally, she whispers, her voice filled with relief. I've made it to the other side. She walks confidently towards her salvation, stepping through the doorway, only to find her foot meeting empty air. She is on the edge of a dark, deep pit. The illusion shatters. The ground beneath her crumbles away. The door is gone. There is only the fall. Her relief turns to sheer terror. She screams, reaching out for a miracle that isn't there. As she plummets into the darkness of the pit, just as she falls, a hand shoots out and grabs her wrist, stopping her descent into the abyss. It's Asura. He followed her with a grunt. Asura strains to pull her back from the edge. Otorii, stunned and tearful, recognizes him as the boy from before. He manages to pull her back onto solid ground where they both collapse exhausted. Otorii thanks him profusely, then asks how he even knew she was there. Asura explains that he saw her bump into him earlier, running so desperately that he figured she must have found her daughter to Narnia. Otorii is stunned, realizing she hadn't even noticed him. He continues, a worried look on his face, admitting that he was truly scared when he saw her step off the platform into thin air. The reality of what just happened finally hits Otorii. The adrenaline fades, and tears begin to drip from her eyes as the terror and despair wash over her. She collapses to her knees, whispering that if only she'd made it through the door, she could have escaped. Asura listens quietly, asking if she truly wants to escape from reality. Looking at her tear-streaked face amidst the rubble of the demolition site, Asura says with empathy, I see. Sounds like you've been through a lot. Otorii, she wails that she was so close to making it to Narnia, but now she's faced with a horrifying question. What if the door doesn't exist? What if it was all just an illusion? Her hope completely shatters. Sobbing uncontrollably, she admits that the door was her only hope. And now she knows it was all just in her head. Asura looks down at the broken girl. The image of her falling and reaching for a phantom salvation burned into his mind. In that moment, something inside him shifts. He squeezes the key around his neck, his innocent expression hardening into cold resolve. If the heavens choose to answer evil with silence, he declares, I'll be the one who helps those in need. He turns to her with a new unwavering smile. A door does exist. Otori looks up confused until she remembers their earlier conversation. Oh, right, she says. You told me about a gate to hell last time. Ajura's tone becomes serious. Did you know that those who commit evil deeds will receive divine punishment? The word hangs in the air, and Otori can only repeat it back. Punishment. He explains the nature of his power. The gate to hell. It only appears before those who commit evil. Otoi's eyes widen as the implication dawn on her. After a moment of silence, she asks him why, but then a new desperate idea takes root. With her escape to Narnia shattered, she turns to the only other option. Could you take me to those bullies you told me about? Asura pauses, his hand on his charm. What do you mean? He asks, though his cold expression shows he understands completely. That it's a good deed after all. With a menacing face, the chapter begins with a close-up of a phone showing a text exchange. A message from someone named Q sarcastically reads, What? If you really want to talk, you got to come over to my brother's place. LOL. Seeing the message, Otori's face fills with dread, her heart pounding in her chest as she glances nervously at Asura. She wonders what he's planning, to which he replies with a serene smile. To do a good deed, of course. The chapter title, Advent, is displayed as Asura and Otori stand before a grim container-like building. An ominous caption declares, in his hand is a key to the gates of hell. Asura and Otori finally arrive. A hand turns the door knob with a click, and Asura calmly leads the way inside with a hesitant Otori right behind him. As they step inside, they are greeted by a messy room. A man with a distinctive tattoo and hairstyle, sits at a computer while a woman, Q, lounges on a sofa smoking. A closer look reveals the pair's nonchalant attitude. Q flips through a magazine while smoking and the weirdo leans back in his gaming chair with a smug, arrogant look on his face. Suddenly, a camera flash goes off, triggering a traumatic memory for Otori. Her eyes widen in terror as she recalls Q and weird guy laughing sadistically while taking her picture. Visibly shaken and disgusted by the memory, Otori covers her mouth to stifle a gasp. She weakly passes a water bottle she was holding. Noticing her distress, Asura calmly asks if she's okay. Overwhelmed, Otori can only manage a quiet thank you. From the sofa, Q scoffs at them. Huh? Who's this? She asks, then sneers. Your boyfriend? No way, right? She laughs and cruelly suggests they should take nudes of both of them. Ignoring Q's vile comments, Asura bows deeply and politely introduces himself as an acquaintance of Otori. In the background, a camera mounted on a tripod stands as a sinister reminder of their torment. Asura gets straight to the point. I was hoping we could chat, he says. Q and a weirdo watches, surprised by his directness. Facing them squarely, Asura makes a simple but heavy statement. I suggest you stop doing bad deeds. His words hang in the air, leaving Otori stunned. Q and weirdo are equally taken back with Q muttering. Say what? Asura continues his lecture with a cheerful, almost manic smile. All who do evil will be punished, he preaches. If you do kindness, it will find a way back to you. That way, everyone's happy. Weirdo, having heard enough of the lecture, responds not with words, but with violence, landing a powerful punch squarely on Asura's face. The impact sends Asura flying across the room, smashing hard against the wall. Otori watches, frozen in shock and horror. Weirdo doesn't stop. He follows up with a vicious kick to Asura's body, eliciting a pained grunt. Weirdo proceeds to brutally beat Asura on the floor with a series of heavy stomps. Otori is paralyzed with fear while Q callously remarks, wow, what a total idiot. As Asura lies beaten, Otori staggers back in terror. Weirdo rises, a twisted, euphoric grin spreading across his face as he relishes the violence. Weirdo turns his attention to Otori, camera in hand. You're here, he gloats. Since you came all this way, how about you strip for me again? Tears welling up in her eyes. Otori looks from the leering Weirdo to the motionless body of Asura on the floor. This is all my fault, she whimpers, consumed by guilt. A wave of resolve washes over Otori's fear. Wait, he's hurt. I need to help him. She cries out, determined to intervene. Weirdo watches her with a cold, empty gaze. But as Otori tries to rush to Asura's side, Weirdo's arm shoots out, his hand clamping down hard on her arm to stop her. Let me dash, she cries, but her plea is cut short. With a cruel laugh, Weirdo slams Otori against the wall. He grabs her chin, forcing her to look at him as he snarls. You keep your eyes on me and me alone. Got it, Otori-chan. Weirdo tightens his grip, choking Otori as she gasps and struggles. He revels in her terrified expression, sneering, oh, I love the look. Give me more of that. Q casually tells her brother not to take things too far, but then smirks while looking at her phone. Come on, snap a pic. Weirdo urges. Q laughs, planning to send the humiliating photo to everyone later. While Q gets ready to film, Weirdo snarls at the gasping Otori. Your fault for not knowing your place, you ugly, __. As a tear falls from her eye, Otori desperately begs in her mind for someone to save her. Suddenly, Asura appears behind the preoccupied Weirdo. His face is bruised and smeared with dirt, but his eyes are wide with an unnerving intensity. Sensing a presence, Creep's smug expression falters, and he glances back. Otori looks up, her face streaked with tears as she lets out a pained gasp. Trash turns his head completely. In the foreground, a close-up shows Asura's eye filled with a cold, terrifying determination. A close-up shot reveals the strange rusted key with a two-pronged fawn-like tip held firmly in Asura's hand. In a shocking move, Asura presses the tip of the key against Creep's forehead. Semitani's eye widens in stunned disbelief. The scene erupts in confusion. Huh? Trash yells. Did you just stab me? Q and a bruised Otori can only look on in utter shock. Asura pulls back the key which is attached to a cord around his neck. The dirt and blood on his face twist into a grotesque smile as a click sound echoes. In an instant, a colossal, monstrous gate constructed from bones and spinal columns erupts from the ground behind them, dwarfing the apartment. Q stares in wide-eyed horror at the impossible structure. Weirdo, still in shock, watches as the key falls away from his forehead. Lying on the floor, battered and bruised, Otori weakly looks up at the horrifying spectacle and questions. A door? Weirdo looks around in confusion as dozens of disembodied eyeballs begin to materialize and float around him. Asura stands by observing the scene he has created. Weirdo's confusion turns to horror as one of the eyeballs sprouts a tiny clawed arm and juts towards his face. The floating eyeballs swarm Weirdo, their small arms clamping down all over his face and body, holding him in place. From the depths of the bone gate, a terrifying multi-eyed demonic face emerges. Gazing down upon Weirdo as he is consumed by the swarm of eyeballs. Weirdo is lifted into the air and dragged backward towards the gaping maw of the hellish gate. As he's pulled into the darkness, Weirdo screams in agony, his hand reaching out desperately as he cries. Help me, it hurts. Ow. Q watches in sheer terror, calling for help. Suddenly, a gnarled vein hand grabs her arm, pulling her towards the gate as well. Asura stands before the chaos, his eyes now hollow black voids. He calmly explains that because the two of them are the cause of future tragedies, he is sending them to hell before that can happen. Q screams as she is pulled alongside her brother into the monstrous gate. Asura watches them, declaring if the heavens refuse to punish evil. The massive bone gates slam shut with a deafening crash, sealing the two tormentors inside. Asura, a chilling smile on his face, finishes his proclamation. I will. The hellish gate vanishes, leaving only a faint scorch on the floor and an eerie silence. Asura, looking down at the Batorii, says with unsettling calm, that way things will be better off for everyone. As the words divine punishment echo in the air, Atoriai's mind struggles to comprehend the horror she just witnessed. The gate to hell, it actually exists. She thinks, and it only appears before those who commit evil. Her shocked gaze fixes on Asura. Staring at the battered boy who just wielded an impossible power, Atoriai asks the question that now hangs in the air. To have a key to such a door, just who exactly are you? Otori's consciousness begins to fade. Through her blurry vision, she sees Asura turn and walk away. Her last thought being that she still hasn't even told him her name. The next morning, Atoriai awakens with a start in her own bed. She sits up, disoriented and surrounded by the familiar comfort of her room, wondering, was that all a dream? As she touches her neck, a sharp sting of pain makes her flinch. The physical sensation confirms the horror was real. I guess not, she murmurs, the memory of Semiton's grip fresh and undeniable. Later at school, Atoriai is trying to focus on a book at her desk, but she is startled when someone abruptly steps up beside her. Two of her classmates, friends of Q, confront her. Hey, you were with Quan yesterday, right? One asks. She's not picking up her phone. You know anything? Atoriai begins to stammer a denial, but then her demeanor shifts entirely. The fear in her eyes is replaced by a subtle, confident, and utterly unnerving smile. Angered by her strange smile, the lead bully grabs a handful of Otoriai's hair. Was that a smile I just saw? She snarls. What's so funny? Want to tell the class? With wide, intense eyes that mirror the look of Jura had, Atoriai stares back at her tormentor and delivers a chilling warning. If you don't stop being mean, you'll end up in hell. The bully is stunned into silence. Otoriai presses her psychological advantage, her gaze unwavering. Is that what you really want? You don't, right? Then her expression flips to one of pure innocent cheerfulness. Clasping her hands together, Otoriai preaches. That's why you should stop being mean and be kind instead. As long as you do good, you won't end up in hell. Just then, their teacher rushes into the classroom looking for the two bullies. He gravely informs them that Q's parents called, reporting that their daughter, whose last name is Komoda, never came home yesterday. While her classmates are shocked and terrified by the news, Atoriai bursts into a fit of wild, unrestrained laughter. Finding the situation absolutely hysterical. Thoroughly creeped out by her behavior, the bullies decide to leave her alone. As they walk away, Atoriai smiles serenely, thinking, that's right. No one can do evil anymore. No bad deed. The chapter concludes with Asura, his face bandaged but serene, walking down an alley as the narration completes Atoriai's thought. Will go unpunished because he'll send all evildoers to hell.